Hey guys, it's me, JX, and we have JB with us today.
What's up?
So we're back again.
Yes.
So we kind of have a few interesting topics to kind of go into. Last time that we spoke, we talked a little bit about the concept of passport bros. So for those who are not familiar with like what's a passport bro is usually someone from the Western world, someone from the West, the US, the UKs, the Europes, who have decided to move to usually a poorer country like Thailand, Philippines, in search of a new start or kind of like a new romance, so to speak.
You romance.
I mean, like I feel that like a lot of in kind of like the online space, passport bros are kind of used in a kind of derogatory and derisive manner.
Yes, right.
It's not a very nice
I feel
thing
like
to
it's
say.
it's perceived like an insulting term, right?
Well, but the thing is that I'm a bit older. Passport bros always existed. They're
Right,
called
yeah.
sexpats. And recently,
But why is it passport, bro? Is it because you're like gonna marry a Thai, for example, and then get a visa? Or what is the passport?
I think the passport is that you use a passport and you go overseas.
Or is
That's
it because you have a strong passport, you can go anywhere? Is that
essentially like
right?
essentially
Okay.
that's the case.
Like the UK or US or Germany or something, and you can just get like easy visas
yeah,
and
I mean,
stuff like that.
if you have a US passport, for example, you come to Thailand, I think you can stay up to like years.
Yeah, I mean,
You just have to make a
yeah.
trip out.
I mean,
every few
honestly,
months.
like if you have like a European passport or something, like I know people that have been here for like a few years and they're just like still on the tourist visa, like going out, coming in. And
I can't imagine living that life.
I mean, I can imagine it's an incredibly like volatile and stressful life, right? I mean, you always have to think like, oh, now I need to go on a visa run and everything. But then again, I mean, I know people that travel a lot and it just happens naturally because they're like, they go out the country every month and then it just resets their visa,
There has been kind of like a new strain of content of expats or foreigners living in Thailand, and they use their exit out as an excuse to make content.
Right.
And usually they go to really, really cheap places.
Well, oh man, like I don't know if this is very on topic, but I was having a conversation the other day and I learned like the craziest thing. It's like that there's actually these like agencies that do this visa run thing, like in Cambodia and stuff.
Yes.
And you can pay for like a package deal. It's like kind of like an all-inclusive like vacation.
Yeah,
or something.
they drive you to the border.
It like includes food as well and everything.
Hotel and everything.
Yeah, like it's all included.
Yeah,
I was like, what? I never thought that because I've never done like one of those border visa runs. If I've had to do it, I've always like just flown out of the country somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, that's crazy, man. And actually, it's like an industry here.
Yes.
Like that's the kind of like gray area actually, right? Because what all of these companies that are making money off these tourist visas that need to do runs, like actually they're facilitating somehow this. Not like illegal immigration, because I guess if you're able to do it, I suppose like, and it's not technically illegal what you're doing because you're not overstaying your visa.
Right.
If they let you back in, then that's their own fault.
That's their own thing.
But there's such a massive industry that's like facilitating it. Right.
It is, and it's also on the Thai side as well. So I have friends,
that's what I mean.
I have friends who they go to Malaysia to work. And obviously they don't work real jobs, legitimate jobs, and they do the same thing.
Right.
So like if they work in Malaysia, again, there's a whole industry of people who could like pick them up, send them to the Thai border, chop again, and come back into Malaysia again. It's really amazing.
With lunch included.
Lunch included, yeah, and juice and water,
drinks and lunch included.
But I think like the concept of passport bros, they always kind of existed. I had a chat with my friend recently, and he's like, "Oh, coming to Thailand," and he said like, "Oh, like every time you mention Thailand or Bangkok, there's such a negative connotation."
Yeah, I feel like it's very specific to Thailand as well. Maybe the other comparable might be like Philippines.
Actually, to be honest, like I've been to the Philippines and Vietnam. I don't think they have the same.
No,
kind of
Thailand is very renowned globally for this kind of thing. I feel when you mention to people when you're outside of Thailand, that you live in Thailand. I think maybe it's if you are young and you're obviously like doing something with your career or like driven and stuff. There's not really much of an assumption anymore, I would say, but. there's definitely some like taboo around it, right? Like, oh, you live in Thailand.
Well, not just like you live in Thailand, you're going to Thailand, you are going to
Yeah.
Phuket, Pattaya. Um, it's really funny because I feel that again we mentioned before that like that's such a infinitesimally small part of kind of like Thai culture and then like Thai people that even involved
Yeah.
in this business at
Right.
all. But like the concept of a passport bro in general is someone who travels from their Western world to a much poorer country, and it's not just Asia. I think like I heard stories of like
South America.
South
Yeah.
America,
Yeah.
Dominican Republic,
Yeah.
the Caribbean,
Yeah.
even like Eastern Europe,
Right.
like Poland or
I
Czechoslovakia.
think also like Africa's, there's a lot of
Africa.
places coming up in Africa. Like,
So there is like I guess from like because I watch some of these YouTube videos and they are like kind of more of a US
yeah,
slant.
right.
So it's a lot of like African Americans who are doing it. Um, but I guess like if, from my perspective, it's always been more kind of like white or Eurocentric. They
Right.
have been coming to Asia. So then there's the other part of it, right? So like the men are coming here, and then there are women who don't like that so-called they're like I don't know, it's pretty weird to me as well. We talked about it before. Like these women, they don't like that these guys are leaving the country,
Right.
and they at the same time they're saying like, oh, like these guys are coming to Thailand and they are taking advantage of people who are poorer than them, less educated than them, to manipulate them into a lifestyle.
Is that what they say?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Right.
They say that okay, these women, they are not smart. They have low education. They're just being tricked by
Right.
these guys.
I mean-
and then at the same time, they're saying that these guys, we the Western women don't want these guys anyway, so they're losers.
Okay.
And so this is the thing though, like if you think they're losers, why does it matter if
Yeah.
they're leaving?
Yeah.
And the other thing is that it's kind of misogynistic to say that women in Asia are automatically less educated, have less money. Yeah. Like the place we're shooting at, obviously owned by a Thai person, very very luxurious place in a very expensive part of Bangkok. So it's I think the other part is like it's kind of because I think like the other part of it is this: the Western world is kind of known for its kind of feminist values and the very traditional feminist values. So, because I'm like online too much, and I have friends who are from the US, and their concept of feminism is completely different from my concept
Right.
of feminism. Because the dictionary definition of feminism is equality of sexes, meaning that if I'm a man and my friend is a woman, we can kind of have like equal opportunity to compete for the same things.
Right. Okay.
Whereas more American idea of feminism is more like, oh, women are on top of men, which is completely different.
Right.
Equality versus someone, the female gender
Yes.
being on
Yeah.
top.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's a lot of things to discuss, right? I feel like there's definitely a difference between like feminism and equality and like just displaying like having a more female traits, right? And I feel like a lot of people that move from the West and they come here, and I actually don't. I mean, yeah, okay, maybe the majority is men from the West coming here, but I've also seen there are some cases of women from the West that move here and they meet a Thai guy or something, or it's definitely we're definitely there's exceptions to every rule, but like I think in general like what Western men probably like more about Asia is just the fact that I would say there's more traditional family values here that's still quite rooted in the culture. And I think that's been quite disrupted now in the US and Europe.
Even in some sense, even in Thailand.
Right. Yeah. I think it's like it's becoming quite disrupted. Yeah. And I think maybe it's just a timing thing whereby maybe in like 30 years it's going to be a similar situation in Thailand to what it is now.
I think with more people in Thailand getting more educated, getting more exposure of kind of like just global exposure to things, they will wake up to different ideas, and old ideas may not always stay forever.
Right.
I think you brought up a really good point in terms of like traditional family values. So the only thing I can kind of say about that, because I think there's like a lot of negative stereotypes about, oh, Thai women are submissive,
Yeah,
Thai
yeah.
women are all easy to get
Which
along
is not
with.
what I'm saying, you know,
With-
like it's not what we're saying, right?
No. So like
at all.
I think the main thing is like, for example, my last girlfriend, I would like her upbringing was that she had to take care of the family. Like since she was like 7 years old, 8 years old, part of it was that okay, I gotta learn how to cook, I gotta learn how to like take care of the family and clean the house, and it's just ingrained into her culture, into her kind of mindset that how does a woman contribute to a family
Right.
is through housework and taking care of the family.
Mm.
And even in Singapore, that's not necessarily the case because
Right.
lots of young people in Singapore don't even do housework anymore. They leave it to
Mm.
their moms or they have domestic helpers to help them with that.
Mm.
And I imagine that's probably quite similar in US or UK, where less people are cooking, for example, or maybe the only way I kind of put it is that like there are more women in Thailand who are trained from birth to be a housewife.
Yeah, I mean, I think another thing to add to it is like it's probably driven a lot by economics as well.
Yeah.
So like the cost of living, economic development in the West and more developed countries has made it so that it's not really viable if you are with somebody, for example, like you and your wife or your girlfriend or your significant other. It's not that viable anymore for you to just have one income.
Right.
Whereas somewhere like Thailand or other, Southeast Asian countries or other, developing countries, I think it's still pretty viable because the cost of living is so much cheaper. So I feel like it's probably there are definitely cases where I know a lot of people in the UK that have very strong family values and still absolutely follow that as well. But in those cases, they're usually pretty well off. Like they don't have to worry that much about like making money and
Okay.
they've inherited wealth or something like that, right?
And then they would have more kind of like traditional gender roles. And
Yes, I think so. Like, and then you would get these sort of like households where like the man is still maybe going out and working, and the wife or the woman is taking care of the kids and taking care of the house and stuff. I think like it's not only or what I'm trying to say is like it's also driven by like that situation, right? I would say because like if you like live in like London, for example, if you are like two people and you're renting a flat, like I think it's pretty impossible for just like one person's salary to pay for that rent, because it's just so expensive.
Okay.
So I think you have that dynamic now where like there needs to be more independence around earning, and I think that's what's driven sort of that, and then obviously all of the stuff around like equality and equal opportunities and everything as well. But yeah, I think maybe in Thailand it's more. There's not yet the pressure that like everybody needs to like go out and earn, right? I think maybe in some cases there is, and I definitely know some people that they're in couples and they both need to earn an income. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like the cost of living probably affects that, right? And
I think Thailand is still in a good place somewhat.
Yeah, right.
Bangkok's getting really expensive.
Yeah, but it's still
But-
like nothing compared to.
Well, I guess if you're earning a Thai income, it can be pretty difficult.
Yeah, I mean that's true.
But
Yeah,
the other side of it,
that's
is
my
that
passport bro talking.
That's
right?
your passport.
Like
That's your privilege
make
showing.
you make your salary in the West or something, and then
Yeah.
even if you're making just like a super low or basic salary in the West, it's already like double or triple more than most like Thai people make working
but
in a
this is the
company.
thing as well.
Right?
I think that there's a lot of low income people in Bangkok in general, but a lot of these low income families do not have dual income households.
Yeah, right.
Most of the time, it's like just the man goes out to work.
Yeah.
The wife stays home to take care of the kids. If they need more money, then maybe the wife goes out to work as well.
Yeah.
I think the interesting thing from a Thai perspective is that a lot of families, they have historical land. Like most of the friends I know, they have land somewhere.
Yeah, right.
So they always
right.
have that safety net.
Yeah.
Where like, okay,
yeah.
if things don't go well, at least I can just go back to the land and,
yeah.
cultivate the land
I
and be
own
a
the
farmer.
land. Yeah.
Yeah, be a landlord. Yeah.
Right.
So
Yes.
I think that's the interesting thing. I think also the other part is that if you are in Thailand at least, if you make a decent income, it's also about like what do you want to kind of live that kind of life.
Right.
Because I know plenty of more well-to-do Thai people. They have a very lavish lifestyle. They go to Europe every month or every second
Yeah,
month.
or Japan or
Japan,
Korea.
Korea. So obviously, if that's the case,
Yeah.
if it's a single income household, that
Yeah.
single income needs to make a lot, or you need a dual income household in order to kind of sustain that. Others that may not have such a lavish lifestyle, they still want to send kids to private schools or international schools. A lot of our friends, they study overseas, and I don't know if they ever kind of think about it. Recently, I met a couple of guys who went to the US to study in secondary school and college. And to me, when I talk to our mutual friends, for example, I always think that that's like, even from a Singaporean context, being sent to the States to study is extremely privileged.
Right. Yeah.
Uh,
Especially the States, because it's like pretty expensive.
It's pretty expensive.
Especially college, right?
Yeah.
It's super expensive.
So I would think, but I think their kind of mindset is that, oh, it's just yeah,
It's just a thing.
they still consider themselves middle income.
Right.
But I would not I would
Yeah.
not consider anybody who has the opportunity from Thailand or even Singapore to go to the States to study
Yeah.
as middle income.
I think like going back to the whole like passport bros thing, right?
Yeah.
I think there's quite a lot of misconceptions, right? Like I would say the first big misconception that I hope it changes pretty soon is that like Thailand is an underdeveloped place, or like these places are underdeveloped. I mean, we know from living here, just come to Bangkok. Like Bangkok's more modern than London. It's more modern than like New York. It's like it's so modern here. It's so developed. I would argue and fight somebody to the death on like how it's more developed than a lot of places in Europe that
Yeah.
are just like dilapidated and have like no development,
Yeah,
like and
you
no,
could-
like that kind of thing. So I think that's just a massive misconception, and I face that a lot even now when I talk to people from the UK, like friends or connections or whatever. And if you haven't been here to the region of Southeast Asia, there's definitely still the perception of underdevelopment, like for sure. So that's one of the key misconceptions that's rooted in this, like, oh, you're just using your passport and then you're going to go somewhere that's like super cheap or underdeveloped or something.
Yeah.
Like goes back to what you were saying. Like if you want to live super lavishly here, you absolutely can do that, and you can 100% spend more money here than what you would in Singapore
Yeah.
or London
Yes.
or New York or like wherever, right? Like 100%. I think like the second thing that's just like not true about the whole passport bro thing is that like you're sort of not bringing anything to that economy, right? Or like you're not. What did you say at
Well,
the
I
start?
think
Like
the
taking
my
your money and
a
like,
lot of the negative things they say is actually like they're just taking advantage of the women, and
right,
the women only want one thing out of them.
right.
I think that's a very kind of narrow.
That's just so not true.
Yeah, I mean that's a very narrow perspective.
Yeah,
I think that
100%.
there are
There's, I mean, to be fair, there is still that.
these cases.
If you go
for
to
sure.
like, and there's a lot of content on YouTube, and that's probably what creates a lot more of the misconception as well. Like, the stereotype would be like the foreigner that's retired and moved to Pattaya,
yeah, hang out with bar
and
girls all
basically
day.
like doesn't do anything apart from go to these bars and hang out with bar girls, and then like pay them,
get married to bar girls.
get married to bar girls. I really do not understand this at all. Maybe it changes with age, but I really I don't understand what the motivation for doing that is. Maybe you are just lonely.
I can understand,
or
I can
I
understand.
really don't get it.
because for me, I've been kind of like doing nightlife stuff, going out at night, and then being in shady places, being
You're on.
in the sex trade and all these things for a long time. Since I was like
It's good to
19.
know.
Well, like my first job, I was like a reporter
Yeah.
in Singapore, and I did it for maybe like 6 months to a year. And my beat was, we call it social issues. but actually it's just like going around like being nosy in like nightlife stuff.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, but like
Societal issues.
societal issues, social issues, right? So anything that's like slightly negative about
Yeah.
anything, I'll be there like as a cub reporter reporting on this. But like, but this thing like, um, people like my dad who never experienced that kind of life. They never like my dad doesn't drink. He can't drink. He never kind of like been with any woman other than my mom, and that caused a lot of problems because like when other women started to pay attention to him, he started to kind of spiral. And I can understand from that perspective. If you never had that kind of temptation, if you never had that kind of attention before, it's intoxicating and it starts to warp your thinking.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you think that, oh, I need it all the time.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. I feel like actually I just was discussing this with a friend yesterday. Like coming to Bangkok, for example, like
Yeah.
moving to Bangkok. I mean, maybe this would be the same in like Phuket or wherever you go, or maybe also in like Philippines or other countries, maybe. But you have to be very, very confident and sure in yourself. And you have to be very, very disciplined,
Yes.
right? Because you can do whatever you want. You can get whatever you want here, and it's very easy. And if you're
You
not
just have to
careful,
ask.
yes,
Literally, sometimes you just have to
ask,
ask, and then people
or
are like, all
pay.
right. Yeah.
But it's obviously like not that expensive if you do pay, like these bar girls, for example. You have to be very careful because I think there tends to be two types of foreigners. I think maybe we might have touched this last episode as well.
Yeah.
But there's the type that basically if you can't control that urge in yourself, like maybe you haven't been used to that much attention in the West, for example, and then the classic, you walk down the street in Soy 11 or whatever, and you have every single massage shop lady yelling at you how handsome you are, right? My friend yesterday, like I don't think he'll watch this, but maybe he does. But he was like, nobody ever told me I'm handsome in the street in
the
Holland.
UK.
And if you don't know how to like discipline yourself and make conscious the fact that this is not real, right? They don't think you are handsome. Right. In that case, they don't think you are handsome.
I wonder, do people actually think that, oh, she said I'm handsome?
Yes.
Do they really think that
and
I'm
I
handsome?
think maybe maybe they do. Maybe they get lost in themselves and they spiral and they actually have this delusion that like these girls actually like I'm actually like a stud, and like these girls like I can get any girl. Right. I think we all know that's not true.
You know that I've seen this. Like there are people like M. Quartier. You see these. There's a lot of tourists there. Obviously,
Yeah.
you see these older folk or just Westerners in general. They just grab women.
Yeah.
I've seen it before.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I asked the girl like, "What's happening?" Like he just approached me out of nowhere and grabbed me. And the only thing we could surmise is that
crazy.
they think that they can get any women they want because they think all women in Thailand are available.
Yeah.
Which is
and that's really bad. I mean, that gives all of us a bad reputation,
right?
And that's one of the things that I really hate about this kind of thing because it does like give all foreigners a bad reputation. Like if you go somewhere and then they see you're a foreigner, if they've only ever seen and experienced that, they just think that you will be the same, right?
Yeah.
And like you have no respect for women, for example, and there's completely a difference between like. Somebody that comes here, they have respect for women. They actually are super Western in their values, but they just wanted to move here because they feel like here's a better lifestyle. There's more development here. There's more growth here. There's more opportunities here. That's why I moved here because like I feel like I have more opportunity here than what I have in a Western developed economy that's not really growing as fast, right? You come to an economy like Southeast Asia, the growth rate is rapid. There's so many opportunities that are untapped. From a career perspective, from a growth perspective, there's actually tons of opportunities here. And that's why I came here, But unfortunately, that's probably a minority case, whereas the majority of older foreigners that came here is more for like, I don't know, retirement.
Yeah, so they're here for retirement or they're just here for like cheap sex or and things like that. I do think that like like you said, there's two parts, right? There's the foreigners who come here and the stereotypical pot-bellied guy who goes to Pattaya, hangs
Yeah.
out with
Bar girls.
hangs out with bar girls.
Yeah.
But I think that there are some, but again, it kind of comes back to what we're talking about in terms of like those like visa runs.
Yeah.
Because there are people who are very kind of like genuinely nice people and they're staying here, but they have no official status in the country. And I think there are a few things I kind of do disagree with, like this passport bro thing,
Yeah.
which is the majority of them say that, hey, like you come to Asia or whatever, and you find like women who are more traditional, who are more demure, who more kind of like more traditional gender values, but they come in and say, okay, then like find a way to make money back home and then spend it here. And I just think that that's not a great strategy. Because if you're coming here, then you're going to set up a family here. If you're going to set up a family here, that means that you should have some official status in the country that you're staying in.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be just doing visa runs for the next 30 years, that's not ideal. Now, Thailand obviously has avenues like education visas or Muay Thai visas, or even if you're rich enough, you can get the Thai elite visa, which allows you 10, 20 years of stay. But then again, I don't think that's super viable for everybody. But the more important thing is that I think it's not that these guys don't want to do it as well. I think that Thailand is also not super open to getting more foreigners into their local companies. So we spoke before that like you and I are pretty lucky in that respect, because we are actually one of the few foreigners in Thailand who are able to get an official status. We get a visa from a local Thai company,
Right.
which is I think is pretty rare already.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
most expats who work in Thailand with official visa, they're working like the Agodas, the Apps Flyers, these kind of companies who are not from Thailand.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so a lot of times when I see like these kind of passport bro stuff, I think it's not very viable. Like getting the girl, slightly easier. But if you want to stay here long term and your plan is to just do a visa run every 3 months, I don't think that's super ideal.
No.
I don't think how this is going to work.
No.
And if you have the wife, then like how are you gonna? If you have children, and you don't have official status, yeah.
I mean, what happens a lot of the time is, the only real avenue that they have to stay here for a long time is marriage, right? So
Right.
you marry a Thai woman and you get a marriage visa, right? Which is viable, but then obviously like you staying here is tied to you being married, right?
Yes.
So and a lot of the time, like maybe that you get married to somebody in those cases that like you only just met or something, just for the purpose of getting the visa. I know that this happens a lot in Pattaya and stuff, right? And that leads to some pretty bad situations as well, right?
There's a common term called the Pattaya Flies Club, where apparently a lot of Western men commit suicide.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
But the joke is that they don't actually commit suicide; they are murdered by their wives.
Right.
To get the money, and
Yeah.
these wives would have
Yeah.
money, would have like boyfriends or husbands that would commit the murder and things like that. There was a recent story of like this Chinese fella who was staying in Bangkok. He had a Thai girlfriend that he was giving allowance to, and when he broke up with her, the Thai girlfriend still had the key card for the condo, broke in with 4 other men, including her boyfriend, his Thai boyfriend, and kidnapped him. And
Wow.
they brought him all the way to, I think, Lat Pral, Ratchada, where he was released. Like he managed to escape.
He escaped.
And he was in his boxers. He was in a singlet. He had no shoes. And he had to and he didn't speak much Thai. But, so fortunately.
I mean, like, you should vet who you marry.
Well, he didn't marry her. It's just a girlfriend, right? But because there was a financial incentive for her. He was giving her an allowance.
Although you know what I would say, like one thing that I would push back a bit what you said is like I don't think that there's necessarily an issue if you do make money out of the country. Maybe not. Maybe you make some money here or whatever. But I definitely think that if you're going to do that, then you should. If you're making a good amount of money and you are then bringing that into Thailand, you're spending with local businesses and you are spending in the local economy, I think that's okay. I think the thing that I don't like is when they come here and they just don't really do anything,
Yeah.
right? Like they're not really creating value in the Thai economy, whether it's spending a lot of money with hotels and businesses and stuff, or whether it's working here and creating value for companies, or they kind of a lot of the time they're kind of just making maybe enough money to get by, or they're doing something pretty seedy or illegal and stuff like that. And I think that's not obviously like that's not okay. Like if you come here and you make a bunch of money in Europe or the US or something, like I actually don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
You know, you might need to find a different workaround how you can stay here. If you're making a bunch of money, you can actually just open your own company and employ yourself here and issue
Yeah,
yourself
so but this
work
thing though, like
permit.
I think a lot of passport bros who come, so-called the passport bros who come to Asia or whatever, they used to work a job back in the US or
Right,
UK.
yeah.
So they've never kind of been in this kind of like entrepreneurial mindset. It's like, okay,
Right.
how can I make money online?
And then, yeah.
Yeah.
And most of them would probably just like open like a bar or something, or try and open a bar in like patio or something.
Which is, yeah, it is really
which
difficult.
is not a good way to make money.
No, I think
Actually,
not really.
it's probably
I think
like the worst way.
probably the worst way. Like, and a lot, and I think that's a very
Crypto
common
is also
story.
not a good way to make
Like
money
people,
either.
people open restaurants and bars and they have no restaurant and bar experience.
Yeah, and a lot of the time it's like in their bar girl wife's name, and then they break up with their bar girl wife, and then she
Yeah.
takes the entire business.
So I think this is a really
Classic.
interesting point. Like recently, I went to like a kind of like a southern American southern restaurant, and a lot of the bartenders were white. And I was discussing with the Thai people like, how much do you think these guys make?
Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, why are there like 3 bartenders
Yeah.
in this tiny ass restaurant that they're all white? It's like really weird. So it's like they can't be making more because the food's not that expensive. So they can't be making that much compared to the Thai people. And you know, like certain nightclubs, like in Soy 11, they have like African American, just black guys on the DJ booth. And we were discussing as well, like how much do you think these guys make? And then like can't be that much
No.
because they probably just here, like you said, like they're just doing something to kind of just stay here,
Like the minimum,
the bare
possible.
minimum. I've met English teachers who make like 20 grand.
Yeah,
And I just think that like
I feel like
20 grand, like why do you even stay here? It's worse.
I feel like the exception to this might be English teachers. I mean, like I feel like you are creating value for the economy in that situation, right? If you are like genuinely passionate and trying to do the best job of like educating, you know, children, like I feel like that's probably okay. But if you're just like working in like a restaurant or something, like, and you don't have the right visa or you don't have the right immigration status to do that, like that's definitely taking a job from a Thai person, like for sure, right?
Yeah.
Because, you know, but then again, I mean, you know, the world's changing quite rapidly. I think like probably nowadays it's way more normal to just move around and be wherever you want to be. Whereas, you know, 20 years ago, that wouldn't have been normal, right? So I don't know, like there's definitely a lot more like freelancers and digital nomads and stuff here. I feel like as long as you like contribute to the Thai economy, even if you make your money outside of Thailand, I think it's maybe okay.
Well, I think just for the
but
concept, just back to like the idea of passport bros.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of them they are coming here. Well, I guess the main complaint about passport bros is that they're coming here and then they're taking advantage of women. So
taking advantage of women. Okay.
which again, I think there are 2 parts of it.
I feel like the women are taking advantage of them in most cases.
Well, that's the other thing.
And by that, I'm referring to like the stories that JX is telling.
Yes,
like
right. So I think there's
kidnapping or like losing your business.
There's 2 parts of it, right? So one part is that a lot of these like so-called feminists or like women in the Western world.
The underlying assumption in that statement is that the women have no agency.
Yes,
like they have no ability to make their own.
They're
decisions.
just children that they're just getting taken advantage of.
That's just ridiculous. Like, how can you say that, right?
Yeah. So there's 2 parts,
actually,
right?
So it's literally like then you're throwing it back to yourself, and you are the one that's being, you know, gender discriminatory, right?
Because you are literally being misogynistic.
Yeah, the women have
and
no
racist.
Agency. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Please continue.
No, I guess the point is that there's 2 parts. One part is that the men are taking advantage of the women, and the women only want the men for like green cards and things like that
to
move to the UK. And then in my experience, at least, as someone who has dated Thai women for the last 10, 15 years, not a lot of Thai people actually want to move to another country.
No, man. They
Not-
don't want to go to the
No,
UK.
I mean, they go for holiday.
Yeah.
That's it.
They don't want to go there. They
yeah,
they
go for
see,
work a little
They
bit.
read the news and they see all the disruption and everything that's happening. They're like, why would you want to go there?
Yeah.
And in most cases, the foreigner also doesn't want to go back, right?
That's
They're
the
like,
funny
we
thing.
came here for a reason. Like,
Yeah.
we want to stay here.
But there are some women who want to go.
yeah.
And I think
right.
I think that a lot of these people, these women especially, they have no concept of what it's like to live in Europe.
Right.
Because I've lived in Europe, you
Yeah.
are from Europe. You go to like a sleepy town in Germany, everything closes by 5, 6 o'clock.
Oh, yeah.
There's nobody
miserable.
speaks your language,
Yeah.
nobody cooks your food.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
You cannot get your somtam pala
you gotta get your song
in some random countryside town in Germany.
Yeah, and it can be yeah. So there's no temples that you can go to. Nobody celebrates the king's birthday.
No.
So I would say that it can be very kind of miserable,
Yeah.
especially the further you are, right?
Yeah.
Singapore and Thailand is really, really nearby. I
Yeah.
can go back to Singapore anytime I want. I go
Yeah.
to Malaysia if I want to. But I heard a lot of stories of like women who kind of move over to the US or UK, Ireland even, and then they can't get used to it because they think that it's gonna be like so easy.
Yeah.
Like even women who go to, like girlfriends of mine who used to like live in Singapore with me, they couldn't get used to it.
Right.
And Singapore is like culture wise very identical to
Yes.
Thailand.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was very kind of difficult for them. So
And then you have all of the same challenges that we talked about at the start, right? It's like if you move with somebody back to the US or back to the UK, you're probably going to need to have two incomes because cost of living is way higher. Like I'm pretty sure that like one person wouldn't be able to support both. If that is the case, then you're probably not going to be living on much money if you're not working.
Right.
And look, I mean, most of the cases that I've seen where people meet here and they go back to their own country, it's usually younger couples, like from what I've seen, like that make it work, right?
Yes.
It's usually younger couples that, they are together for love. They are not together for like any other reason.
Yeah.
Like they both have options of like the woman could also date Thai people or anyone else, and like the guy could also date anybody that they want. But they get together because they actually want to be in a relationship. Let's say like in your late 20s or something like that.
Right.
But yeah, like I don't really think it's that. I mean, it's just like anything, right? The grass isn't always greener. Like there's a reason that people come here from Europe and stuff.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of kind of like negative connotation with just kind of like the passport bros. I've seen. I mean, like I'm personally not that into going into like kind of like a touristy areas anymore. Like I told you just now, like yesterday I went to Soy 11.
Soy 11, yeah.
What a nightmare.
What about Khao San? I feel like Khao San's fun though.
Khao San's really fun.
Yeah.
I think.
But it's fun because you kind of like have mentally prepared yourself to just like like it's gonna be mad. So just embrace it.
I think Khao San.
But Khao San is better than Soy 11.
Way better.
Because Khao San is not really that seedy. It's just all like backpackers and like everybody's there for a reason, right? Soy 11 is seedy.
I'll just give you an example, right? Last night I went to take a taxi at Soy 11.
Yeah.
I discussed with the taxi driver, hey, like how much is it going to cost to go back to my place? He said 200. I said that's really expensive, but sure, whatever.
That's crazy.
It's short distance, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, whatever. I'm not going to argue with you over like $2.
Yeah.
When we get there, he said, actually, I told you 300.
Oh.
And I'm just like,
that's the worst.
Why? Why do this?
Yeah.
It's like. It's just for I
hate
it anyway.
Like all of the seedy passport bros and Soy 11 are making it worse for people like us that just want to live here and integrate into the local culture.
So for me, I don't want to go to that place anymore.
They've caused that, right?
It's like I don't want to be in a place where people scam me, and that's not Thailand.
Yeah.
It's like there are taxi drivers. There are taxi drivers. You just walk up a little bit, they'll be happy to take you for the meter.
Yeah. And that's what I used to do. Like I remember when I was going out in like like Tonglaw or like Sukhumvit or something.
Yeah.
Like you just walk out the club and then you just like walk down the road for like 15 minutes. Like, okay, you have to walk a little bit,
Yeah.
but then you just get to the point where there's like nobody really, and then you just wait for a normal taxi. And
Yeah.
you don't ask them how much. You just get in and you say,
Yeah.
"This is where I'm going."
This is the thing. Like I got it, and I thought it was a meter, and then
Yeah.
he said, "Oh, it's actually 200." All right, whatever.
Yeah, I'm
I
not going to
reached
get
there,
out now.
it became 300, and my friend was with me, and she said, "Yeah." She said, "He said 200." Like, oh, some people really got my lead,
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really.
So
bad
did you give
guys.
him 300?
I gave him 300. I didn't want to argue over. 100
Yeah,
baht.
that's the only problem. Because if you start an argument, then it's gonna end badly.
Well, I mean, I'm in my condo. It can't end that badly.
That's true.
But I'm not gonna like get into a fight over 100 baht.
Yeah.
But this is the thing, though. Like, it's
But people will do that.
I mean, I speak enough Thai that I felt confident, but I was like, no, it's okay. It's only 100 baht. Just give it to him.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's reinforcing bad habits.
Yeah.
Because then this guy will be like,
oh, I can get 300.
I can just do it. I can just lie.
Next time 400.
Why stop at 300? Why not 500?
Yeah.
But yeah, so like these kind of seedy places like Soy 11 is really kind of just really, really bad. I don't like really kind of going to these kind of touristy places anymore. But like sometimes when I go to like Pattaya, for example, because like I have friends who are staying there, you do see like these kind of like passport bro types.
Yeah.
For me,
you don't see them as much in Bangkok, I would say, to be honest. Like it's much more because it's too expensive for them. Yeah, because they're not like, as we discussed, they're not really like making a big income or something. So most of them, they wouldn't stay in Bangkok. They go somewhere cheaper, like Pattaya or like somewhere, somewhere in the countryside or something, right? Like,
but I think that like for me, like I look at those old folk in Pattaya, like pretty good. These guys are living their best life. they're just up at like 7 a.m. drinking beer and eating their sausage.
I mean, that's the other thing, right? And that would be my immediate reaction to what you said at the start. Was like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like it's their life.
Yeah.
Like if that's what they want to do, like stop complaining about it and like you live your life and they live their life and just chill.
Yeah.
Right? Like if that's what they want to do and they're happy doing it. Who are you to say that that's...
I'll just say, like, if you're doing it, just be careful, right?
Yeah,
like,
just be careful. I mean,
don't trust everybody.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And you what's the saying? Like, you make your own grave or something? I don't know.
Dig your own grave.
You reap what you sow.
You reap what you sow.
So, it's up to you. You make your own decisions and then you are going to face you live with the consequences, right? But I don't think that it's fair to label anybody like, okay, like, you're a passport bro because you're doing this and it's not a good thing and, like, how dare you and stuff. It's like, I mean, just let them do what they want to do, right?
So I do kind of have an interesting story, like I guess like a reverse passport bro. So one time I went to a nightclub with my, again, ex-girlfriend at that time. And then I got to know like a couple of, I want to say Swedish.
Okay.
It's one of those Scandinavian folk. They were pretty fun, and said like, and I was with my girlfriend and some of my friends. Okay, like let's go to this after hours place near La Prao, Ratchada area. So I gotta bring you sometime. They have the most amazing beef krapao.
Okay, nice.
But it's only open after like 12 a.m.
Right.
But it's because it's after hours place.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can go. But it's really amazing. So we brought them there, and a very common thing about a lot after hour places in Thailand, especially if they're catered towards the Thai market, they always have sidelines. So meaning they do other businesses on top of opening a bar. So specifically this place, you can actually order a girl to come and sit with you and drink with you.
Right.
So
is it like an open air situation,
no.
or it's
completely
like
closed?
Okay.
Completely closed.
Okay.
They put on the shutters. They blast Thai music. And I think the owner used to be a chef in some big restaurant, a big hotel, and so his skills are amazing. So anyway, so like these Scandinavians, one of them picked up a girl at the club, the other one didn't have a girl. So me and my ex-girlfriend asked him, hey, you seem a bit quiet. Do you want us to get a girl for you to sit down with you and have a drink with you? He got so mad.
Really?
Yes. He got like, how can you because I think he thought I was a pimp for some reason. But clearly, even though I was speaking English in a non-Thai accent. He thought that, and my ex-girlfriend was quite good looking as well. So maybe he thought that I was a pimp and she was a pimp. So he got really mad at me. So, how can you try to sell women to me?
Yeah.
And I was like, bro, I'm just being a good host.
Right.
And then but I was pretty offended by that.
Mm.
Not because like he thought that I was a pimp, but clearly that if you are a foreigner coming into Thailand, leveraging your Western currency,
Yeah.
and then you are literally just looking down on people who are just making money.
Mm.
Because
Mm.
the thing is that a lot of these women who do kind of like these sidelines and this thing, they're just normal girls.
Mm.
They just make they make 1 or 2 grand a night just drinking and having and talking to customers.
Mm.
And thinking that they are selling their bodies is a very kind of gross like it's a very kind of gross Western mindset.
It's a very Western way to think about it, right?
Yeah,
It's
because
like,
it's like
they're either hardcore prostitutes or they're not, right?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, there's some gray middle ground area. Actually, it's super interesting that you say that, because there's this concept in Japan actually of a similar thing, right? And it's like there's this I can't remember what
hostess bars.
Yeah, no, there's this there's a name for the women, but you go to a restaurant and they basically sort of like keep you company. And in Japan, it's like an incredibly common thing to do at like business meetings.
Yep.
So like you would, I saw it on like a Netflix documentary or something.
It is very common.
Yeah, and like basically, what happens is that they sit with you, they drink with you.
They pour your drinks.
They pour your drinks. They chat to you, and then you leave.
Yeah.
Right. Like that. That's like how it is in Japan, and you just like pay some. You know, you pay the restaurant for the time and everything, and like, okay, yeah, like how can you look at that really and say like, okay, yeah, that's like prostitution and you're selling your body? Like what? Like how is that different from like getting a massage? Or any other kind of like service business, right?
Yeah. I just look at it as like even if you're selling your body, it's just money.
Yeah.
It's to make a living. And the other side of it again, this is the very kind of woke mindset of JX, is that a lot of the problems that happen in the world today come from historically Western countries coming in and being invaders or
conquerors,
colonists. What did they call it in the Black Panther? Colonizers.
Yeah.
There's a very kind of like colonizers things that happen because
that's really the story of Asia, right?
Yes.
I mean, like,
right.
Yeah.
So I think like having a holier than thou attitude.
Yeah.
That somehow that like
these customs probably were created by the colonizers.
Yeah, especially some Western European countries like the Dutch and Spain. They were a big part of the spice trade, and part of it came with the oppression of Asian countries.
Yeah.
So I do find it kind of like ironic that like people get mad, or even they have like negative ideas when their country. So yes, it's not their fault.
Yeah.
It's not their personal fault that their countries are historically involved with oppressive trade.
Mm-hmm.
But you shouldn't be too surprised that people may not like that.
Yeah.
They may have like evolved ideas about like their country's role in kind of like coming in, right? And it's the same thing. Like we can talk about like from kind of like Chinese, right? From a Chinese perspective, a lot of kind of Chinese investments. China as a country has invested in like Thailand, for example, and not all of it have altruistic. There's kind of colonizer mentality in doing that as well.
Right. Yeah. Like when you're living here as an expat that's working, and you're like super integrated with the local culture and community, like you don't really meet them, right? That's like you don't like it's so the only time that I can think that I've like seen or met, quote unquote, like stereotypical passport bros is like when you just travel domestically within Thailand. Like if you go to Phuket or something, and yeah, like I mean, you just don't like it's such a separated community, I think, because like when we're hanging out and stuff, like the places that we go are like pretty expensive usually, like high end,
Yes,
right?
I think so.
I mean, we would go to like what would be considered like pretty high end places in Bangkok, or
Yeah,
like even if you're in Phuket or something,
even
like,
if it's just a normal restaurant,
yeah,
I would say it's pretty high end.
like you wouldn't find your typical like passport bro like eating in those kind of places, right?
Yeah,
So,
I think
so
I
you
think
don't really, yeah. I mean, I guess maybe that's why people that are like here as foreigners, like what we do, like integrated locally, like that's probably why people like us find it quite annoying, like the whole label and stuff, because we could get put into that bucket, whereas actually it's like totally two separate, you know, like
the
strands of society.
the
Yeah.
very unfortunate thing is that I think like for example, just going to Soy 11, automatically you just put into that bucket.
Right.
Even though
Yeah.
that you could have been staying here for 18 years.
Yeah.
And I think that's why a lot of guys who are very integrated
They
no
don't
longer-
go.
They
Yeah,
don't go
yeah.
anymore.
I was around there the other day, actually, like during the daytime, right? Not in the evening, but
Yeah.
it was very like because I never go around there.
Not anymore, yeah.
It was weird, man. I felt like I almost wasn't in Bangkok anymore.
Yeah,
Like
there's-
it's
there's-
so different from everywhere else, from Sathon, from Tongla, from Ekimai, from everywhere.
And it's
you
also
know?
very different from even before COVID.
Yeah,
Because I
right.
remember it was fairly toned down. And it's really amped up.
Now it's just got nuts.
It's really
Yeah,
gotten nuts.
happened.
Like there's all these like sex shops. There's all these
And the weed
Nigerians
thing,
and
right?
Africans.
As well. It's just like
Oh yeah, so the weed stuff.
everywhere.
There's a lot of kind of like Africans and Nigerians there selling drugs there
Right.
now.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like I was telling my friend.
People coming up to you like, "Oh, do you want to buy some drugs or something?"
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah, yeah.
no.
And then all those like Indian guys that selling watches.
Mm.
There's like yesterday I went for a beer.
You want to buy a Rolex?
There were four of them asking me, and they just kept coming
I
by.
was like, no,
And
I
like
don't want to
my
buy
phone-
your Rolex, man.
That's the crazy thing. I don't know how they
Fuck
make
off.
money. I don't know how they make money.
People must buy it.
People must buy
People
it.
must
But
buy
it's
it,
because
man.
these guys, I have to be from syndicates and shit.
He's trying to sell me a fucking Rolex GMT while I'm
Yeah.
walking down the
Yeah,
street.
he's
trying
just
to-
walking.
trying to get a motorbike
20,000
taxi.
US Rolex just on his wrist.
I think it was about 20 US.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. So I don't know. So it's weird. But I do agree with you. Like Soy 11 has kind of really amped up, and it's kind of unpleasant.
Yeah,
I
man.
don't feel that like we discussed last time. That every time I go to like Sukhumvit area, and I think Tonglo Ekama is fine.
feel like
That's where it starts
Yeah,
going,
like
more normal.
probably, you know, like where Aso is.
Yeah.
Like I feel like if you go past Aso in the direction towards Prompong,
Yeah.
then everything that way is fine.
Yes.
It's pretty okay.
It starts to become more
But,
normal.
but if you go Asok and then towards Chitlom, right, or Plunchit is the next station on the BTS, I think.
Right.
Like that area between Asok and Plunchit is fucked.
It's pretty
Like,
bad.
Like, don't go there. That's where like all of the passport bros in Bangkok hang out.
I think so.
Right. I think if you go like towards Prompong,
Yeah.
once you get to Prompong and Courtier, everything,
Yeah, there's two sides.
super nice,
Yeah,
right?
So
Super
like
nice.
Nana down.
Super
Oh,
nice bars, super nice clubs, super nice restaurants, coffee shops, everything.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But Tonglo itself is also kind of like a pricey place.
Yeah.
But
for sure.
but I feel that like for definitely if you are, I don't know, it's also kind of funny because like I remember before COVID there was a lot of people foreigners who go to like Tonglo Ekamai to party,
right.
and that has become not as prevalent
Really?
these days.
Okay.
Recently I went to this new club
Interesting.
called Echelon, all Thai, no foreigners there. I
Right.
was the only foreigner there. And normally you would know, like for example, like Demo, right?
Mm.
The Demo's really big place.
Yep.
Where a lot of foreigners would, and predominantly Thai
yeah.
clientele, but there was still kind of like
Yeah.
a big expat presence who would go there to party with the Thai
Yeah.
people. And I found
Whenever I
that,
went to party, like back in the day, I would like actively want to like go to the places with no foreigners.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
I think that's the most fun nights out.
Yeah.
When you're just like a group of foreigners, like the only group of foreigners, and then all these like local Thais that are just partying.
so but then you also gotta
So fun.
behave in a Thai way, because I remember
Or just behave yourself in general.
Behave yourself,
right?
don't
Like,
be rude.
Don't be a dick.
Because I remember back then before COVID, there was this guy who was just going around dirty bar and just propositioning women. just getting into their faces and talking to them. And well, eventually he went back with one girl, so it worked for him.
Man.
So I was like, he was just going to every single girl. But this is also the other thing, and I think
Persistence.
the thing is that I'm sure it's probably the same, not just for Thailand, but like generally girls don't like guys who approach many women.
No.
They like,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, you just approach me, okay, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
The moment like
Yeah.
she sees you walk away and talk to the 5 other women, it's like, ah, this guy's a fucker.
And you come back around and didn't remember.
I do want to tell this story though. So again, before COVID, I went to demo, and so I was staying in Asok before. And when I went down, I saw this girl who's living in my condo, and she was swiping on Tinder, and she was messaging on to another guy in line. So it's just really fast. I just walked past really quickly. So I just popped down, looked down, looked. Oh, she was typing to this guy. Oh, I miss you. I hope I see you soon.
And then
Tinder. On Tinder, right? Then
fair enough.
I went to demo. I saw her with another guy there. So I told my friend that, oh, that girl lives in my condo. So the guy that she was with, I don't know, he was trying to show off or something. So the guy was white as well. So he was trying to show off to me like, hey, bro, she's hot, right? And I'm like, yeah, I guess. No. I said she's hot, right? Like, why are you trying to show off?
Yeah, like, what do you want me to say?
What do you want me to say? Yeah, she's hot.
You want me to say your girlfriend's hot?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, what?
Yeah, and this happens like because in general.
Fucking
like,
hell. Well, that's the other. That's not really passport bro, but then within the community of
Digital
expats,
nomads,
digital nomads that do go out, that have a bit more money, that go to these nice places.
Yeah.
There's also a category of them that are fucking seedy as well.
Well, I don't think
You know,
they have money because I think a lot of them. So the usual Thai way is to get bottle service,
Right.
and a lot of these guys,
No, yeah,
they don't.
Yeah,
They don't.
Yeah.
A few times I've been to some
You
places.
just like they just go around propositioning until they get asked to join a table.
That is what they do.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. I've seen it, man. I've seen it. Yeah.
It is really weird because like one of
And it works.
early on when I came here, I asked them like, hey, like, do you want to get a table? They said, no, we'll just get drinks and then we'll just walk around.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah, and actually, I mean, it's interesting, right? Because when you party more in the West, it's not common to get bottle service. I mean, if you're getting bottle service, you're spending, 10 grand or something usually. Like, there's like bottle service in Vegas with the thing like,
okay, wow.
right. Well, you need to spend a minimum amount.
How much is it like in the UK?
I don't think it's like 10 grand. I've never got bottle
but
service.
it's probably not.
But it's
not
a
cheap.
couple. It's a couple thousand, I think, for sure, that you need to put down as a group, like for the table. And
That's a
stuff.
lot.
Like in most clubs in London, I would say, to get like a proper bottle service.
Okay, and that comes with like sofas and.
Yeah, I mean, it's the area,
Okay.
right? Like, so it's not common at all. I remember like when I first came here, like it was the weirdest thing.
It was like this small table.
So you just like go into the club and there's nowhere to dance. Like
No,
you
there's
just,
no dance.
it's just tables. Like what do you do, right? Because
Yeah.
like clubs in the West or like outside, right, of Thailand or of Asia, like there's not this. There's just a bar and then a big dance floor, and then you just go back and forth, bar, dance floor, bar, dance floor. Then there's like a VIP area that you can get the bottle service if you want. But like usually, like I don't know, from my experience partying in the UK, for example, we would always like make fun of the people that are in the VIP area because it's like, why did you spend all that money and then you're not even on the dance floor? You're not even having a good time. You're just like sitting over there.
Did your thinking change as you get older?
No, 100%. Like
you still think in your wankers.
When I first came to Thailand, I thought it was strange for about 6 months, maybe.
Whoa.
And then I think a couple of times I went out, we got a table, we got the bottle service.
Just like,
and I was like,
you start looking forward to getting a table.
I was like, you know what? It's actually pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Like you have your own area, like you have all the drinks sorted, so you don't have to keep going back and coming back, right? You just have a bottle, you have the mixers. If you want, you can order more at the table. You don't need to go anywhere. You have your friends, you have your own space. And sometimes it's fun. You can like joke with the table next to you and like meet new people at the table next to you and stuff. Yeah. And eventually after a few months, I was like, this is actually better. Like I like it more.
But you're right though, because you go to certain places, not in Thailand, and you're just struggling to get a drink. Like I went to Malaysia.
Oh man, like
I went to Malaysia recently, right? And I was like, oh my god, I had to struggle through 20, 30 people just to get one drink.
It's the worst part about going out in the UK.
Yeah.
Like there'll be like there's just one bar, and then there's like like a crowd of people all the way along.
The bar, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, we have this thing in the UK where like bartenders, they would always like prioritize women.
Yeah.
Right. So like the women would always get served, and then you're just standing there like, and then you don't want to be like, hey, serve me or something. So you just have to wait, and then by the time you've got a drink and got back to your friends, it's been like an hour or something.
It's really bad.
It's like, and yeah, I mean, it's just better with the table service.
And with the table service, they pour the drinks for you. You don't have to touch it. They're very nice about it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on the place. Like, for example, if you go to like RCA, right, which would be RCA is not that high end, I would say. It's just like a normal level. Like many locals go there that are working here or whatever. They do bottle service, and the way it works is like there's always a waiter going around, but you pour it out yourself. So they'll bring the bottle, ice bucket, mixers, glasses, everything, boom, sorted. You just pay at the end of the night, right? And it's usually a few thousand or something.
Maybe it says a lot about me that I get offended if they don't pour my drink. So I feel like I'm paying a lot though, because it's like $5,000 for a bottle.
Well, somewhere like RCA, like Route 66 is super busy. Right?
It's really
I feel
busy,
like if they had to pour drinks for every day, there's like 100 tables or something there.
Get more waitresses.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I mean, like, I guess most places they would probably pour it though.
This is the thing though, so like I think the thing is that like bottle service in Thailand is not that the price doesn't vary that much from club to club.
I mean, you're only really paying for the drinks.
You're paying for the drinks, and you're paying for the mixers.
They give you like a service charge, but it's just
there's no service charge.
Well, it's just the normal like 5% usually
that's
that you pay for. Even in restaurants, you pay that, right?
Yeah. So if you're paying, let's say, $4,000 for bottle of vodka someplace, you're probably going to pay $4,000 somewhere else.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is that
if
it's the same price, I expect the same
amount,
level of service.
Yeah.
Someone should pour my. That's why I say like maybe it says more about me.
Yeah.
Because it is nice. Because like a few nights ago I went out and like the waitresses were very aggressive about not pouring my own drink, and I was like, oh, that's very nice.
You can't pour it.
Start pushing me away. No, let me do it. They're like, oh, that's very nice of you.
I mean that just speaks to the entire service culture.
But this, that's the thing though. So like you take a taxi, they're all very nice to you.
Unless they charge you 300 baht.
But this
unless they're from Soy 11.
Yeah, so this is the thing though, like it has a lot to be said about the service culture in Thailand.
Yeah,
that
100%.
You become so shocked when someone doesn't treat you nice.
Yeah,
you're like, oh my god, she's so rude.
I get like really bad shock when I go back to the UK.
Oh,
like
you're not
really
nice
bad. Because, and I have to check myself sometimes because I actually sometimes get annoyed.
Yeah,
like I get annoyed because the service is so bad. And then I'll like get myself into trouble because I'll like complain about how bad their service is. And they'll be like, oh, and then you're not even allowed to complain in the UK.
Really?
You're not allowed to. Yeah, I'm not even allowed to complain.
What would they say?
Oh, they wouldn't. I mean, they'd probably say like, oh well, I'm trying my best or something, and then they'll not change anything.
Yeah,
right?
it's a little bit insane how good the service here is, because everybody's really nice. They're smiling at you all the time.
Yeah.
Some places are pretty bad in that like they keep asking for tips.
Yeah.
But a lot of places are fine.
Yeah. Like normal clubs and stuff, I didn't experience much of that.
Yeah.
And usually you would like give a tip or something at the end. If the service has been good, like just leave the change.
My friends are way too generous, but the good thing is that they get really, really, really good service when that happens. Because
well, the cool thing about Thailand is like the service, the foundational base service level is already super high.
It's pretty high.
If you tip, it's even higher.
Yeah, it's
like
pretty insane.
Like crazy good service just by tipping maybe like $10 or something.
If you're giving 200, 300 baht, 400 baht, they're going to remember you. For that night, they're going to be really.
That's like
really
that's like VIP at that level. Like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, you don't have to give that much. 100 is enough.
Yeah,
To
I
show
mean,
your appreciation.
yeah.
Because the unfortunate thing, I guess, is that a lot of servers in Bangkok don't make that much, unfortunately.
No, yeah.
Maybe 300 to 400 a night. So if like three customers give them 100 each, oh, that's double their income that
Yeah.
day. So they're pretty happy.
I mean, like another great thing about going out, partying, nightlife in Bangkok is you don't have to book anything.
Yeah.
Like whenever you go out in London, for example, like you really need to book stuff,
Really?
like even
Yeah.
sometimes a couple weeks in advance.
Okay.
Or like if you didn't book, or it's like a place you can't book, you have to queue, and there'll be like a queue that lasts like, I don't know. Sometimes it can be 45 minutes, an hour
Yeah.
outside the club queuing.
Yeah.
By which time you're just like,
Yeah,
fuck this, I'm going home.
Yeah, you see it in movies all the time. I've never experienced it in
Yeah,
my
like
life,
it's
where you're
crazy.
just queuing for
Yeah.
2-3
Imagine
hours.
doing that in like London in like December when it's like
It's freezing.
-3 or -4.
How
or
does it
something.
work then? Like, let's say the club closes at 3,
Yeah.
right? I guess.
Right. Yeah, that's something.
So
like
you would need to queue for 3 hours.
No, I mean you basically it's just like based on how long the queue is, right? So like they'll have a full capacity,
Okay.
and it's just the reason is just because it's so busy and there's no bookings in this particular club.
So first
So
come, first
it'll
serve.
fill up at like 11 p.m. or something.
Okay.
And then if you want to go there at like
After you-
midnight, right,
Okay.
then it'll be past capacity. So you just need to wait, and then people come out and they'll let the same number of people that came out go in.
I
Usually,
think that's the same in Thailand,
yeah,
but people don't queue.
yeah. Well, in Thailand, there's just I would say there's way more places. Like
Yes.
there's way more clubs and bars and stuff, and there's also less people that I think are like going out.
So there are a few hot places, like in
Mm.
Akamai, where they fill up by 10.
Yeah.
So if you don't go in at 9:30,
Yeah.
you don't get a table.
Yeah, yeah.
But
But like you said, Thai people don't queue.
they don't
They'll
queue.
just like be like, oh yeah, we'll go somewhere else.
Well, you can book. So those kind of places you can
You can
it,
book those places,
but they'll
yeah.
only keep it until like 10:30.
Yeah, right. You have to show up. Before,
You have to show up before
yeah,
then.
Yeah.
But the thing I guess is that Thai people don't queue. Like you just go to the next place.
Yeah.
So it does kind of like if you want to go to those hot places. Unfortunately, if you're the guy and you're the host, I had to do it a few times.
You need to go there at like
I like these so like
Yeah.
foreigners come in all the time. They say like I want to try a local place. I'm like, all right, fine.
Well, local Thai people, they party way earlier. So like if you go to like Cassette or one of these like super Thai, bars, a lot of the time they're there at 9, and the most of their group is leaving at like midnight,
Something like
half
they go to the
12,
second round.
1 or something. I mean, a lot of them go home if you're in like a HISO circle or
Yeah,
something,
that's
like
true.
a lot of them go home, or they do like a house party or something.
Yeah.
Obviously there is like after places as well,
Yeah.
but start super early here. Like a lot of the time, like when I first came here, it was like you're still having dinner, and like it's like 9 p.m. or something, and then
You were
like,
starting already.
I remember like when I first came here, I had some like Spanish friends, Italian friends and stuff, and they usually don't go to the clubs till like 2 or something.
Yeah.
Like, they go to the club
No,
at 2.
because,
right?
Yeah, because if you go to Barcelona,
Yeah.
for example, Barcelona, where the Catalonians. No, it's correct. You're absolutely right. Things don't start until 1.
They were like so confused because I was
Like,
like,
we're
"Yeah, come on,
ending
we
at
gotta
2."
go. We gotta go like 10 p.m. Like let's go, because if we don't go now, we're gonna it's not gonna be fun, right? We're not gonna have enough time to have fun.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, man, like, we can't. We didn't even have dinner yet. It's like 10 p.m. Like, come on. And then they go at like 2 or something, and then it's always closing.
It's closing,
right?
yeah.
Like
But
things here they closed.
I have to say that recently you're right that it used to start earlier, but these days I've seen places do not start until 12.
Really.
So
Maybe it's changing.
So I'm like you. Like I usually go like 10:30. Let's go in half an hour earlier
Yeah.
before 11. Just get a table first. Like last night I went out, 10:30 went in. Oh, I'm the only guy. I'm the only person here.
Yeah.
But it started to fill up quick. Within an hour, it started to fill up.
Yeah.
That
Depends where you go as well, right?
Yes.
Like if you go to like a proper club, I would say, if you go to, there are a few clubs here that don't do table service, that are like more like European style clubs. Yeah, like that play like techno music and like like mostly foreigners going there. You wouldn't find these places on like Soy 11 and stuff. They're in like random locations that are like hard to find unless you know somebody that told you about this place. There's places like that they're more like traditional, like not traditional, but like normal like European clubs and stuff. You don't have to go so early. You know, it's just a dance floor, like no bottle service
So
and stuff.
the point, I guess, is that like in Thailand, they are forced to close early because they can't go later than, I think by law, they can't go later than 12.
Yeah.
But 2 is the compromise that they have with the police. Yeah.
Yeah, but it depends on what district you're in.
Oh yes,
right? Because
that's the other funny thing about Thai nightlife.
Each district has its own police department, basically, and so like Tonglo, for example, and basically the bar or the club or something, they need to pay the police to stay open.
Yeah.
And in some cases, they're able to pay them more, and they have a good relationship that they can actually stay open after 2 as well. Like some cases, 2:30 or 3 or something. Yeah.
I think recently the governor of Bangkok, he wants to push it to 3.
Right.
Which is, I think, honestly, because even from a Singaporean context, we close at 4.
Yeah.
And I think that's for me. I just think that like they can close, they should be able to close whenever they want.
Yeah.
As long as they do it within control.
Yeah.
So
I mean, as long as they're not in like a residential area or something. I mean, come on, it's okay. No, I don't really see what would be the difference between closing at 2, 3, or 4.
I think it's just kind of like a morality thing.
Right.
Because I have friends that tell me that there are Thai MPs who are very religious, and they feel that Thailand doesn't have a red light district.
Right. Okay.
That like
interesting.
To really say it in media, and I'm just thinking that like, how is that possible that anybody would have that idea, much less a Thai person?
Yeah. I mean, the thing with this is like, if people want to keep partying after the clubs close at 2, like there are many places that you can actually go, right? Yeah. Like you just need to know some locals and know the right place to go. And like, there's many places that you can go, stay open till 6, 7 in the morning sometimes, you know? So it's, even if they by law close at 2, like people are still going to go out if they want to go out, right? I mean,
But I think it's good that it ends early, in a sense, because then like the streets kind of like quiet down a little bit.
Yeah.
But the one thing I do still find really weird are Thai people like to drive to the club.
Yes, this is bad.
And,
we can talk about that.
That's really
we can talk about that because that's like dangerous, right?
Really dangerous.
And this is quite common.
Super common.
Quite common that they would actually drive home drunk after they And I mean, like in certain areas, it's less common, I think, because the police do genuinely police it, and they accept bribes, let's say, or they accept payments for if they are drunk, and it's quite a lot of money. It's like 10,000, 20,000, even more in some cases, right? But yeah, it's super common that Thai people would like drive home after drinking and stuff, and it's that's really bad.
I really can't understand.
Like, no wonder there's so much like road
I guess
accidents,
I can,
right?
Yeah,
like,
but I guess I can understand it because some of our Thai friends, they live pretty far away.
Yeah.
So they drive to work,
Yeah.
and then they stay around the area until it's time to party. They get dinner, and then they drive to drink.
Yeah.
And then they finish drinking, and then they go home.
Yeah.
Which I think is really bad. I do know that some of the Thai guys, they are very, very responsible. So what they do is they don't drink, but their girlfriend drinks,
right?
And they would go home, and then when it's like 2 o'clock, they come and drive their girlfriend home, which I think is amazing.
That's amazing
because like, they live like 2 hours away.
That's the ultimate. Huh?
Yeah, that's the ultimate. So she gets to have fun. He doesn't get to do anything because of just pick her up.
That's crazy.
But that's a very common story among our friends as well. They a lot of them do that.
Yeah, I mean, no such thing as submissive Thai women, I think. I mean, in that case, I think she is the one wearing the pants. No,
but that's the thing, though. Like, I
just drive me like drive home 2 hours. Like when I'm done, you come back 2 hours and pick me up. You know, like.
Yeah, that's why when people say that like Thai women are submissive, like, very easy to get along with.
No.
I think like a lot of Thai men would disagree.
Totally. Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
We talked about this the last time. I felt that like maybe it's a bit toxic that
Yeah,
people have that kind of relationship. But
totally.
I don't know because I think for them they just see it as like, oh, like this is just what a man does.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
It's like
True.
it's my
True.
responsibility to drive my woman home.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
know also some I know some people that they do it both ways, right? So like
Oh
if you
yes,
know
we
if
had that story, right? Like
yeah, and
one of
like
our mutual friends, he got drunk at our place. Then
yeah,
his girlfriend get to feel like,
this is
oh, that's
girlfriend
very
like,
sweet of
and
her.
actually it's good because they then they have a cutoff period.
He has a kind
It's like you can't when the girlfriend shows up to
my
pick you
Uber's
up,
coming.
like then you've got to stop, right? Like that's you've had enough.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's a thing though, and it's definitely not good. I think it's probably less now, but definitely is really not a good thing.
Well, I think the really weird thing is that I do have like a female friend, and she has a really weird complex about those stops, because I think she feels that, and I do agree with her that I think that a lot of Thai culture disrespects Thai women.
Mm.
They kind of like diminish them a little bit, and she has a big problem with that. So she like last time we went to drink, I was sending her home, and then there was a stop. So obviously I look foreigner as fuck, and they left me alone. But they wanted to check her bag. Oh,
Mm.
she got really mad. Like, why do you
Wow.
want to check my bag? Do I look like a drug dealer? I'm like,
Wow.
what the hell?
What
She didn't have
happened?
anything.
What happened then? Like, did
So
they still?
they were very professional.
Right.
They were like, "Oh, please relax. We just want to check." And they're like, "Why do you want to check my bag? You check, but you just see. You can't touch it." Because like she's again,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. But this, I do feel that there are some cases. Like I went to another club, a new club with her recently, and then the valets who were kind of like managing all those cars, they were pretty rude to her, and I just felt like, what the hell are you gonna be rude to her?
Mm.
I think part of it is that, especially good-looking Thai women, that was also the negative perception that they are somehow like mama sons or working girls,
Mm.
and which is again very even within Thai culture they have this stereotype as well, and it's a very kind of offensive stereotype.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would bring her to like a paid joint. There's like in Thailand, there's like these lounges and stuff. So the best thing about these lounges, they hold like very good concerts by local Thai artists. So if you want to watch,
Really,
like
I didn't know that. Right.
it's really amazing. I watch
Wow.
quite a few people.
Yeah.
So like they like every month they maybe like there'll be 4 weekends, right? So there'll be at least one weekend where they bring in a relatively hot Thai artist. It's pretty not great because they only perform for 1 hour.
Right.
So at 12 o'clock they perform 1 hour, then they get off.
Right.
So you're starting at like 10 o'clock and you're getting drunk, and then like the warm up, the other band is playing for
Yeah.
like 2 hours. Then the main event shows up for an hour. He sings maybe like 5 songs, and then he's gone.
Okay.
But it's great because normally you wouldn't get that. And I really kind of really enjoyed that part
Yeah.
for Thailand.
Right.
If you're really into like Thai music,
Thai music. Yeah.
Thai artists,
Yeah.
and if you follow the Instagram, they would do shows for free.
Yeah. It's a crazy
Like-
cool like music scene here.
Yeah, I just thought that it's really great because you can never get that in Singapore.
Yeah.
Maybe even in the UK.
And I mean, there's so many like bars and like kind of also can be clubs here that,
Yes.
that have live music as well. It's not only like just DJs playing like stuff on Spotify, right? It's like it's like you actually have like a lot of like bands that are playing in
And
clubs.
they're really good.
Like
They're really good skill.
Yeah, it's awesome. There's like so much variety compared to like it would always usually I think be a similar blueprint elsewhere,
Yeah.
right? Like
I mean,
DJ and you know. all
I
this
say
stuff.
the music scene, whether it's like a house or trance or hip hop in Bangkok especially, is very very very. Some places are amazing. It's
Yeah,
really, the
100%.
DJs are like international quality, way better than international quality. Because
Mhm.
sometimes my friends like to watch like Tomorrowland,
Mm.
and you see those like European DJs, and they're just like, this is not good. Why does he get to perform in Tomorrowland? He's just doing remixes of like 90 songs. But anyway, yeah. So yeah. What was it talking about? Like yeah. So like local acts, right? So yeah. So sometimes she goes with me to these kind of concerts because it's a Thai artist concert, right? And some of them would think that, oh, like she's a mama san or something, and it was very hurtful to her
Yeah.
because like she's just a normal girl.
I feel like that's pretty bad though, right? Like that's pretty hurtful.
Because I think that for her, she's like she feels that I'm being invited as your guest. And again, Thai girls really kind of like very sweethearts because they never kind of tell you these things that hurt them. But you ask them about it and they are like, she's a bit hurtful. But basically she said that, hey, like I'm being invited as a guest, but they are treating me as I'm a worker. So I'm not a worker, I'm a guest. I have money, I can spend my money.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
on that part, that is kind of like a hurtful stereotype.
Yeah.
But I think from
and I
certain
think like
people-
it can be quite driven if they're with a foreigner as well.
Yes.
You know, like if you just show up somewhere and it's like foreigner plus Thai woman, they
or even Thai
sometimes-
men.
Yeah, sometimes Thai men. There can sometimes be this assumption of like the people working there or something that something's going on, which is like totally bullshit,
Do you,
right?
do
Like
you
I
get
mean,
it sometimes with your
not really. I mean, no. I mean, I think because we don't really go out in the evening anymore. I mean, we're past that now. Like we're like domesticated, you know. So like the most that we go out is like to the mall and stuff, you know, like going to restaurants like during the day. So it would be interesting if we like went out more to some of these different areas, whether we've actually experienced that.
I think the scene.
But I'm sure that there is some. There must be some people that are looking and judging, like for sure. I'm pretty sure of it. Yeah.
I feel that it's way less in Thailand than Singapore, for example.
Really? Yeah.
Singaporeans are very judgmental about these things.
Well, that's the great thing about Thai people, to be honest. I mean, Thai people, they are very, very tolerant people. And it's the same with like the LGBTQ plus IA movement here. Like, and everything to do with, like, it's so progressive here. It's so progressive and like people just kind of like, they let you just get on with your life. And it's like, if you're happy, then that's fine.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, and I think it's the same in this case. I think they're kind of like, maybe not, it's okay. Like just, you know, whatever you want to do.
I think there's also the other part is that there's a big difference between your relationship with your wife versus the passport bros.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
because you are
We're
around the
just
same
like-
age as your wife.
normal.
And some of these guys are old enough to be the fathers of these women.
Yeah, exactly. And that's
Yeah.
going back to what I said. Is like, I hate being, you know, like they make it bad for us because we get boxed into like the same category sometimes, right? It's like ridiculous. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
But I do think that you're right that but the places you go to, that would never happen.
No,
because
it's
they are
just
more
like day to day life,
Is-
right? Like,
But the more kind of like
probably if we went to Soy
nightlife-
11,
yeah,
or if we went to
Yeah.
Soy 11, or if we went to like anywhere like that, like I'm 100% sure that would happen. 100%.
I think
But we don't
it's-
go there.
I
We
think
don't
it's
go
also
there.
very hurtful because there are Thai women who are taller,
Mhm.
and one of the big things that happen to Thai women who are taller, they're assumed by foreigners, especially, to be ladyboys.
Yeah, which is like super uneducated, right? And just
Well,
ridiculous.
why would you even care?
Yeah, right,
The
right.
other thing.
Yeah.
So I do have like a
So much for being woke and tolerant, hey?
Well, I don't think those guys are woke or tolerant.
Yeah, that's probably why they're here.
That's why they're here.
And now we hate passport bros.
But this is the thing though, like because I feel that a lot of people who like, okay, so anyway, like I have a few friends. They ask me like, "Oh, Jess, you're staying in Thailand. What's the deal?
What's the deal?
What's the deal with like why is it so different in Thailand in terms of like transgenders and gays and things like that?" So I told him that look, it's really simple. The kind of culture in Thailand is not to transgress, not to interrupt, not to question too many things another person is doing. They have the right to do what they are doing.
Which is amazing, right?
And
that's
so
how we all should live.
So they think
Like-
that, okay, like if my son or daughter wants to change their genders or change their sexes, that's their thing.
Yeah.
I think a big part of it is kind of like their way of looking at Buddhism, which is like live and let live. And
Yeah.
it's all part of the Dharma.
I feel like what's so interesting about the way that it is here, though, is it's not verbalized, and it's almost like it doesn't need to be. It's just woven into the culture. Like that's how the culture and the belief system is on like a subconscious level. We don't need to here. It doesn't need to be verbalized or like talked about or like be made into this massive thing. Like
Yeah,
it's
unlike in the
just like
West,
it
where it
just
seems to be
yeah, right,
like,
and
oh,
that's
we need gender neutral bathrooms. We
yeah,
need
or
men
like
can't be in women's
pronouns and things like that. Like it's just not a thing here because it's tolerant enough already subconsciously in like the culture of people. Like like everybody just tolerates everybody, and it's like an accepted thing.
I think, again, this is the kind of woke, anarchist, anti-establishment. This is weird because I tell my friends all the time, like, I work for a corporation. I'm literally the devil because I work in advertising and I work in a corporation, but I am anti-establishment, anti-corporate. But this is the anti-corporate part of me, I say. I think that a lot of things in the West, a lot of it is driven by the media in the West,
Yeah.
and they establish a narrative that puts people against people.
Mm.
Whereas I think in Thailand, there is still that,
Mm.
but they do it in not really people against people, but country against country.
Mm.
So there's a lot of bias, for
Yeah,
example,
that's
against
true.
Cambodians and people from Myanmar,
Yeah.
even Singapore, and
Yeah.
especially China these
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
So they don't really have that kind of mindset as that, oh, we are each other's enemy. Whereas I think in the West, especially, there's this really kind of prevalent narrative that, oh, this guy, just because he doesn't believe in pronouns, he doesn't believe in wokeness, he doesn't believe that people should be able to do intermarriages, interracial marriages, they are the devil.
Mm.
And this is not a
Yeah.
thing in
Yeah.
Thailand.
Yeah, I guess it's just that things are not seen like binary here.
No.
It's like like there's more than one way to think about or angle to think about stuff,
Yeah.
and it's kind of just like you said, it's just tolerant. It's like that's the way things are. Like, and whether it's and it's woven into the culture, not really to question things that much. Like it's just accepting things the way they are, and being tolerant of like other people's decisions, right? And I think respecting I think they actually genuinely respect other people's decisions. And then there's always this, I mean, what's so interesting is that I think it leads to like quite a low amount of judgment as well. Like I don't really see that much judgment here.
I think there's a lot of judgment.
I mean, for me, I haven't really experienced it that much, to be honest. But maybe, yeah, maybe it's just different
I
experiences.
feel
or
that we are
something.
accepted from the judgment.
Yeah,
Because
or maybe it's just because the judgment's not really verbalized. Like like they're never going to say it to your face, like that they're judging you. You
Yeah.
know.
I mean, I know that there's a lot of judgment.
So if you just ignore it, it doesn't exist.
I'm very involved with the Thai people, and they tell me a lot of their gossip all the time.
Right.
And sometimes it does feel a little bit peppy, but I do agree that I do think that there is a lot of judgment.
I guess the judgment is just not verbal, right? It's like-
Well, I think that the other side of it is that yes, people don't judge you too much, but a lot of it is based on, are you bringing value? So
Right.
if you're not bringing value, then the judgment comes in. So if you are a person who, you're like,
passport bros.
no, if you're not
No value.
if you're not contributing, you're not spending money,
Yeah.
you're not bringing
Yeah.
money to the table,
Yeah.
you are just like a moocher, then there's a lot of judgment in
Yeah,
terms of like,
yeah.
oh, you're not bringing value.
Yeah.
That's why I think like some of the top transgender people in Thailand are like Nong Poi, which is like it's a lady who's transition, and she's one of the top influencers, content creators in Thailand.
Yeah.
She makes a lot of money.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the reason why she is I feel that why she's accepted is because she makes a lot of money and she
Yeah.
fits a certain kind of look of what a Thai woman would look. But then but because I look at it just like it's a spectrum. There are people who don't look like her, who look more masculine, for example, and they are not as well accepted.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I think it would be super interesting to dive into this. Like, I don't really know that much from like, I think you also don't have any friends that are,
not
that are
not that I
transitioned
know them
or-
really well.
Yeah.
I
So
think
I would love
there's
to
the-
actually like talk to some people and like
we
figure
should,
out
like, if you
what
if you
is
know
the-
someone that
Yeah,
would be
yeah.
interested to talk about this, I would love to
Yeah.
get to know. Like,
I'd love to like know deeper about like all of this stuff. To be honest, yeah, because I don't really have much of a. I can only see talk about what I
just
see
from acquaintances
from the
and-
outside, right?
Yeah.
But yeah,
we
super
just what
interesting.
we've seen, and maybe we just talk a little bit and
Yeah.
what we observe or what people tell us. But definitely, I think that's a really kind of I can't speak to me because my friends asked me about it, and I said that as far as I know, there's less judgment with these things.
Yeah.
Whereas,
maybe we're totally wrong. Maybe there's like
No,
maybe they
there
feel
isn't.
like so much
there
judgment.
isn't, because I would say that a lot of it is based, in my experience, it's just based on value.
Yeah.
Because I used to date women who are from Isan, and they
Now
work
you
in.
now you don't date.
I try not to. No, but they're perfectly nice. But my point is that there are a lot of women who I used to date who work in nightlife. So they either work in a nightclub,
Yeah.
they are bar girls, some of them were prostitutes before. Um, it always hurt me that these women are bringing in a lot of money. Some of them make way more money than you and me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
right.
those kind of money is not common for a normal Thai person to make. You need to be very money to make that kind of money.
Mm.
So if your daughter is bringing in that amount of money, that much amount of money, then you as a parent would have to know that they are doing something
Yeah.
not legit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I visited these families before, and they never question, where do you get this money?
Mm.
How are you doing?
Mm.
But a lot of questions, and I dated some of these women, and they told me it's very heartbreaking, because to these mothers and fathers, some of them can be very heartless. They just take it like, when are you going to send me my money?
Mm.
They never ask her, how are you doing? How difficult it is for her to make that money, how lonely she gets, and how certain men wouldn't treat her that well. And I can only imagine that that would probably be the same for transgender people in Thailand.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's
And
all
maybe
about
that's the
money.
dark side of the fact that like this stuff isn't verbalized, right? It's just sort of like not talked about.
Yeah.
And that could be pretty interesting to explore.
I always found it a bit tragic, because
No,
like,
for sure. Yeah.
if someone's bringing that amount of money in, you should, maybe other families would really question that.
Mm.
But the other side of it is that they need that money.
Right.
They need that money because they've never had that money before.
Yeah.
A lot of families are very uh, poverty stricken.
Mm.
Yeah, big
Especially in
problems with
like
money.
rural communities and rural areas.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So if you do, but that's the other side of it, is that you can meet very down to earth people
Mm.
there who don't expect much. Like if you buy them some mukata as a meal in their kind of like their village, oh, they'll be so happy.
Yeah.
You know, like 600 baht for a mukata, they're so happy. Like it's such a treat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the other side of it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's good and bad people everywhere. There's good and bad things everywhere, right?
That's I think the thing. I think that from a Western mindset, we're talking about like passport bros and stuff.
Yeah.
There's a
yeah.
very I do feel that even from Singapore perspective, I used to work with a German company. They had a kind of weird complex about Asia in general. They think that all parts of Asia are cheap. All Asians have very low salaries. Everybody's kind of lowly educated. They don't know what they're talking about, which is
It's just a lack of awareness.
lack of awareness. They never kind of experience it.
Yeah.
And then the other sad part is that if they do come, they only experience that small part,
Yeah.
the touristy part.
Right.
Whether they're going to Bali or whether they're going to Thailand, Bangkok, Pattaya, Phuket, they just experience that part. They
Yeah.
never meet anybody who isn't in that industry.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I guess it's difficult, right? Like if you travel somewhere you've never been there before, it's how do you experience the local part, right? You need to have friends, and you need to. There's probably a way to do it. I don't know, but
I don't think
like
okay. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, then it's not their fault.
Yeah,
Because they're
yeah.
here to enjoy the
I mean,
holiday.
it's not their fault, but I feel like even if you didn't come here, there's ways to learn these things online or whatever. Like you should know that not all of Asia is the same. Like, come on, that's like me saying all of Europe's the same.
I mean, I told you this before.
You know?
That before
Like-
I saw the Goggle Box TV show, I thought that, British people must be kind of highly educated. Then you watch more British TV,
No, man.
and then you're like, man, these guys are really dumb.
Yeah, I mean,
Love Island, you
I
know.
mean, people in the West are not educated about like the East. They're not educated about anything that's happening in the world today, right? So the problem with all of this wokeism is that it comes from a place a lot of the time of just like no education and no understanding, right? Like what's happening in China. Nobody actually understands China.
No, don't get started on this.
You know, like
because
or,
I read a lot of Western media, and a lot of Western media is covering things about China. They are completely untrue.
yeah, it's so biased.
It's
It's
extremely
so
biased.
it's
And you read
ridiculous.
like Wall Street journals
Yeah.
and Dow Jones.
Yeah.
They're reporting things that are completely untrue.
Yeah,
And the thing is that I think if you will go to China, so yes, again, but the thing is this: China's a very, very big country. There's 1 billion people.
yeah.
There are good and bad people.
I mean, it's bigger than a continent.
Yes.
You know.
So the thing about Chinese people, like even okay, not even talking about Chinese, just talk about Chinese cities. Chinese cities these days are some of the most advanced. They're way more advanced than any Western city in the
Yeah.
world.
Have you seen this? I just saw this like TikTok thing about the cyberpunk city. What's it called?
Wuhan.
Yeah. No, I don't know.
It was either Chengdu or Guangzhou.
I think it was maybe Guangzhou, and yeah, they went there, and then it's like crazy. It's like neon. It looks like out of cyberpunk.
It looks like a cyberpunk city. Yeah, exactly.
It's insane.
Yeah,
and you're like, this is so modern, right?
Yeah,
I remember going to China like 7 or 8 years ago, and they were already using contactless payments everywhere.
Yes,
it was like nobody used cash at all, right?
And only in the last 4 years, Bangkok started to use, because of COVID.
Yeah.
Started to use more prompt pay.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like even just the last sort of 5 years or so, in the UK as well. I mean, it's only just now been like a thing where everybody uses Apple Pay all the time. I think before that, like people would pay by card a lot, but it's like the physical card. Right?
Okay.
So I mean, China is like so advanced.
Yes.
They're so far ahead. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, if you just look at infrastructure in terms of like transportation.
Absolutely crazy. I remember like when we were there, we took a train from somewhere in mainland to Hong Kong.
Right.
And it was like this train that went like fucking like 300 miles an hour, just like it's basically a bullet train.
Exactly.
But
it's a maglev train, right?
And then I like was talking to somebody, and they were like, "No, this is like what all trains are like in China."
Yeah.
I was
like that.
Because I thought it was just one of these, these special, bullet trains, right?
Yeah.
And they just build one, and like it's like a thing.
It's
like,
one thing.
Yeah, like what they were trying to do in the UK with HS2. I don't know if you know about this, but like it's a very sore topic for many people because they scrapped the project now. But they were going to create this this high speed train between like the north and the south of the UK. And it was just going to be like one line that goes all the way down.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, like this is just like a normal train in China. Like they're all like this.
Yeah,
they all
like
go
this.
300 miles an hour.
We don't do those slow trains.
Like they're all like maglev technology, like 300 miles an hour, like rapid trains you can get anywhere in China basically in a few hours on the train.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, okay, like we've got something wrong in the West.
So even like in the US, just to even build some trains that would.
Well, they don't even, because similar to HS2 in the UK. They were going to build one between LA and I think San Francisco, like in Northern California, and they still haven't started, right? Like
just on the West Coast, just a little bit, just a small part,
just one.
Yeah, but here's the thing though, like the US should build something like this because they are a big country as well, and they can afford it,
and it's much more environmentally friendly than planes as well, right?
Yeah, so because there's all this freight, exactly, all this stuff in China is all for freight. It's less for people, it's more for freight. But it's just that there's the idea is that like if we want to do things in China, we just do the best. I think they are
hardcore.
So like even in China, for example, a lot of my friends' moms and dads are on pensions, and it's good pension, 4,000, 5,000 renminbi, which is enough for them to like eat hot pot, have a bunch of dogs, and do Tai Chi and Mahjong every day. And I just and they all have to retire maybe like 55 to 65. And where else in the world do you get that? Because I look at it like that's really great because like all these old people just like go enjoy your life. But in Singapore, my country, people still got to work until 70, 80. There's a big problem right now.
It's because you follow the American system.
It's bad. It's really horrible.
But I mean, and really like when you consider Asia, like the statement that you think that all of Asia is the same is just, I mean, it doesn't even process in my brain. I mean, you look at like, say like Japan, you go to Japan and it's just like there's a different world. Like the people is just like a totally different people from say India.
Yeah.
Right, these are both two Asian countries, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and then you have China in the middle. You have
Well,
Korea, also totally different.
I think a lot of it is based on again like the Western narrative.
Yeah,
The Western narrative is that Japan and Korea are the allies of the
right.
West,
Yeah,
so they don't get shit talked.
yeah,
But China is not.
Yeah.
China is the competitor, so
Right.
they get shit talked.
they get the shit. Yeah, yeah. You
So-
never hear about Japan.
No, like I just give you an example. Once we went to a hot pot place in China. I tell you, like this is how nice some Chinese restaurant, how friendly they are. So what happened was that the server accidentally told my friend, "Oh, these beers are 199 RMB," and it turns out that it's actually not 199 RMB. It was just like 150. So it's still a small amount of. It's not a big amount of money, but it's still some amount of money. The captain of that lane that we were in said, "Oh, I'm so sorry." He took out from his own wallet 50 RMB to give to my friend.
Wow.
And I was like, no, please don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. It's just a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
I'm just letting you know.
Wow.
But this
Yeah.
is insane. Like
amazing.
how nice some of these places can be.
Yeah.
And if you go to Shanghai, the
Yeah.
bun is literally like a cyberpunk city. It's so well developed. There's so many Starbuckses.
Shanghai
There's
is
so
like
much money.
the most modern place I've ever been.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Yeah.
I felt like Hong Kong on some kind of steroids.
I've never been to New York. A lot of friends talk a lot of good stuff about New York, but I can't imagine any city that looks like Shanghai. Like Shanghai, there are buildings that are fully glass,
Yeah.
and that glass is a screen.
It lights up.
No, it's a
like
screen.
yeah,
It
it's like
plays a Coca-Cola ad.
Yeah.
And you're like
like
the whole building plays a Coca-Cola
Yeah.
ad.
yeah.
Yeah. It's
Like they
insane.
have they're so ambitious to this, like, you know what, we're going to build a skyscraper and half of it is going to be a screen.
Yeah.
Like, and you just
Yeah,
like,
it's just-
okay, let's do it. Sure.
Things are just bigger.
And they
in
probably
China.
built it in like a year, maybe less, you know,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like, whoop, it's gone up. Like, nice,
Yeah.
easy. Yeah. Yeah.
Coming back a little bit, I think we have a little bit of time left.
Yeah, we should close it out soon.
Yeah. So I guess like just back to on topic about Thailand a little bit.
Yeah.
I guess one of the things I do find interesting, and I do kind of like we discussed about nightlife that not many tourists go to versus nightlife that is mostly Thai.
Right.
One of the things I do kind of really like about that part of nightlife where there are very little tourists is actually the lack of scams. It seems that like every time I go to, especially these days, I'm not sure what's happening. Maybe things are becoming more desperate or people trying to get more money. But the last month or so, when I've been to a place where it's more touristy, there's always been a scam.
Okay.
People overcharge you.
Yeah.
Or they're just being very aggressive in general, and it's not really nice. But in general, when you go to like a really more Thai friendly establishment, it's way more friendly. Things are way more chill.
Really?
There's less upsell.
Yeah.
There's no scams even.
Mm.
I think that's the really kind of like nice part. What like we mentioned before, that one of the really nice places in Bangkok would be like places like Ekamai and Thong Lo.
Yeah.
And Cassette, for example.
Yeah.
I really like them.
Yeah, so cool.
And all of my friends that I bring
So
to
fun.
Cassette, they love it. Because I think it's really more of like an office worker, office ladies
Yeah, 100%.
that will go there.
Yeah.
And it's all kind of like Thai music.
Yeah.
One of my friends, he's Indian fella. So he's really special, I think, because he's been going out with me a lot, and I lean more towards the Thai side of things, and those like we're going out. But he always likes to like go to all these like Western places. So the funny thing is that he's been very accepting of all these things, and he has started to kind of listen to Thai music
Yeah.
instead.
Like it's like one of those things that once you've started doing it once, like it's kind of like takes over you, and you're
Yeah.
like, it's like once you've gone to like Cassette once, you're kind of like at the start, you're like, this is a bit weird. Like I don't know any of the words, and like it's like everybody's just like, if you ever want to see something incredible, just like go to somewhere like Cassette
Yeah.
and just like watch, because like people are just yelling, like screaming the words.
They get
like,
so hyped.
yeah, and the reason is because the music that they play is like Thai 90s and
Thai 90s.
2000s music.
Yeah.
So it's like basically all of their childhood songs,
childhood
right?
songs.
Throwback to their childhood.
Yeah, so it'd be like Backstreet Boys,
Yeah,
equivalent
like-
of Backstreet Boys,
exactly.
be playing in a bar
Exactly.
in America
Yeah.
or Singapore.
Yeah,
Everybody
exactly.
would be like, oh, but they get really hype. It's
Yeah.
way too hype.
Yeah.
It's too much high energy.
So much
It's
fun.
kind of scary a little bit.
So much fun. I think
Yeah.
as well, like when you go to quite Thai places, people are there more to have a good time and hang out with their friends.
Yes.
If you go to like non-Thai places, it's a lot more of like different categories of people, but a lot more of like people trying to get wasted, people trying to pick up girls, people trying to like people with other objectives other than just like let's just have a really cool fun time.
Yeah.
You know, like
I think
that's what I experienced anyway, and like that's why it can be more fun going to these Thai places because people are chilled, they're just there hanging out, having a good time, they just want to enjoy.
Yeah.
Right, they don't have any objectives to like go and pick up girls, to go and do this, to go and do that. Right.
I do agree.
Yeah.
I think like in general, like for example, when I go to Tiger sometimes, which is above Cassette in Akamai, and
Oh yeah, I've been there. Yeah, it's cool.
it's nice.
It's such a
place.
cool spot.
It's very,
And they
very
have
cool
like
spot.
live music a lot, right?
Yeah,
Like
live
it's-
music.
Yeah.
So it's a bit more open, I guess, like not as cramped.
It's kind of like an open edge. It's more like a bar, actually, right?
No,
I mean,
no.
Oh, maybe it's different. Maybe it's different.
Okay.
I don't know.
But anyway, so like
I haven't
Tiger
been
was
there in
really
a super
like
long
I went
time.
there recently, and then I was with a bunch of friends, and we were drinking, and some of my male and female friends were there. So there was this guy that was sitting next to us, and he looked very sad because he was one guy with 6 girls.
Oh
And I think,
wow.
I think only one of them was his girlfriend.
What? Okay.
So
Yeah.
he looked really bored.
What? And they were just like the friends.
I think they're all friends.
Yeah, just
But
like,
he's the only guy there. So for some people, that would be like the ideal scenario. You're the
Yeah.
only guy with 6 girls. But he looks super bored.
yeah.
And for me, we have like our bros, bunch of Thai guys, and me as the only foreigner. So we try to engage him. So we started to have fun with him.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
started-
and yeah, like definitely in these like more Thai places, it's much easier. Like it's much more like friendly. If you can definitely approach people and you know not in a weird way, but just be like, hey, you want to like come and have a drink with us?
it's way more natural.
They would be super down to just like join and have a good time. They're also there to enjoy, right? And
Just buy shots.
I think
Give them
yeah,
a shot.
I think they know as well that like the kind of people that are going there, even if you're a foreigner and you are able to go to a place like this, it means that you're a cool foreigner, right? You're
Well,
not like
Well, don't
you're-
go with all foreigners. That's why I think it's really important.
You need to go with Thai
to
people,
meet to
right?
meet
Yeah.
more and engage more with Thai people.
Yeah.
And be discerning about the Thai people that you hang out with.
Yeah. Although if you went with a couple of foreigner friends, you could definitely meet some cool Thai people
Yeah,
for sure.
But speak Thai.
Yeah, like
try to,
just
at least try.
try to speak Thai to them,
Yeah.
or like
They'll
yeah,
think it's cute.
Yeah, yeah, just like you can, definitely meet a lot more people. I think it's not as friendly at all. Like if you're going like Soy 11 or something,
No.
and like it's much more like confrontational and
I think it's really
not
weird.
not friendly and
because-
stuff.
Because, like, for example, last night when we went, there are a lot of working ladies there, and I was seated near the VIP area, and these girls keep trying to push me away to get into. So basically, that is like partition. So that there was a single man, no girlfriend, nobody with him. So they were like pushing me away to drink with him.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's very unpleasant.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Happened
thing
to
is,
me
like,
as well.
it's quite difficult for me to talk a lot about this topic specifically because I never really was like going to like Soy 11 and stuff. To be honest, like, I mean, I definitely went there when I first came to Thailand when I was still like mostly all my friends were foreigners at that time because I'd only just
But
arrived.
because they were younger, they would go
and
to
we were younger.
Thai joints, right? That's
Well, no. When I had most of my friends that were foreigners, we would go a lot more to like the foreigner places, like
Okay.
Soy 11 and stuff. But gradually over time, you meet more Thai people, and you know integrate more with the local culture, and you start to seek out kind of these more like local experiences.
Mm.
And since then, like after the first year, I really like have not gone to Soy 11 or anything
yeah.
like that. Khao San every now and then because it's just fun.
Khao San is
You know,
good.
Khao San's a good time, no matter what, because it's just different. It's not really. I wouldn't even say Khao San is seedy,
No.
like what we said at the start, right? But yeah, like it's difficult for me because I don't really have much experience of this kind of stuff. But it's definitely just not. It's not that fun, right? When you're going out and it's kind of like that. There's a bunch of seedy people and like all of this stuff is like scams happening and everything. Like it's not a good time, right? I mean, if your objective is to have a good time,
I think definitely if my message I guess would be like from like Thai bar owners and stuff is that if you're really doing that, it's really really bad for the reputation of Thailand.
yeah, 100%.
Because
It's
then
horrible.
people start to feel that like, oh, I'm not being appreciated. I'm just gonna get scammed everywhere I go, and that's how I feel about Vietnam, for example.
Yeah,
if you go to
me
go-
too. Because
yeah.
I got scammed as soon as I got to the airport.
Literally,
Like a taxi scam. Yeah,
literally, it's
yeah.
it's really amazing how many scams there are in Vietnam.
Yeah, and then you
Um,
immediately are just like you taint the
the entire
country,
experience.
right? Yeah, yeah,
But I think in Vietnam they do kind of like try to punish guys who do that
right.
because they feel that it's definitely a bad representation. But that's why I said like recently I've been going out and I feel that like all these places are doing a lot of shady stuff, and if you're not vigilant or if you're not pushing back on it, then you could get scammed. So I just thought like okay like maybe this time yesterday going to Soy 11 will be my last time.
Yeah, just go to cassette.
It's gonna, yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
just have a
tell-
good
I'll
time
just
with the
tell
Thai
my friends,
people.
like we only go to places where they only play Thai music.
Yeah, like then you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Or I mean, RCA is cool. Route 66 is cool.
No.
There's
Route 66 has been quite problematic in my
really.
experience. So the last time I went, they sold me fake alcohol.
Wow. Okay.
It
I
was
mean,
really-
I haven't been there in like 5 years or something. So maybe back then it was cool.
Bro, there are new places, man.
Yeah,
new
maybe-
places to go.
Back then it was cool. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, if I actually was going out like in Bangkok now, the only places I would go would probably just be like Tonglo, some places with Thai people. That's probably it. Yeah.
But you're more into, I guess, the EDM stuff, right?
Not really, man. I used to be, yeah, but
I
now
used to be.
I actually prefer live music. To
Okay.
be honest, like I really love these places that like you
That's-
have like a little like acoustic live band,
Yeah.
like with like acoustic guitar, singer and stuff, and then they'll play like sometimes they'll play a mix of Western and Thai music as well. So they sing some Thai songs, sing some Western. I love that. So I
Okay.
think,
So
you know.
maybe when you're less busy, let's get maybe after the wedding, we get P and
Yeah,
some
for
of her
sure.
friends
No,
and
I
some of
mean,
my
it'd be so
friends.
fun. Yeah.
We'll go to like Cassette or Tiger or something.
Yeah. I think like Tigers like that above cassette. Or there's so many places in Tongla that are like playing live music and stuff, or like around Sukhumvit. Yeah. Around Saturn, not that many places, I think.
I've been trying to go like Facebook. I don't know, so it's really weird because like Facebook is the main channel for a lot of clubs and bars, very local ones. They are also really far away where they try to advertise towards market towards Thai people. And you see, I've been trying to go to different places, but they're really far away.
yeah.
Like they will be like maybe a Bangna. Or,
So like if you go to these like because that's a different category from like cassette, for example.
Yes.
Would you that's like a maybe like an outdoor setting,
Yes.
like super chilled beers with ice bucket or like a bottle of whiskey or something. That would be like I mean Lad Prao is good.
Yes.
Like there's many places around Lad
Oh.
Prao, but it's not that close. It's pretty far.
it's pretty far. Well, I'm moving there a little.
Yeah,
bit.
it's not that far away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Around Ari as well. Around
Yes.
Ari, there's many like acoustic music bars and chill places like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think let's try out that. Like when things get a bit less busy.
Let's do it, yeah. For sure.
So I think that's about it for today.
Yeah.
We
We
went
definitely
through-
went like
we
way,
went-
way over again.
we
We've
wanted
gotta, we've got to shut the fuck up and stop
Stop too
talking
much.
so much.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll do better
Yeah.
next time. Let us know if you have any topics, and we're definitely happy to kind of go through it.
Yeah.
So see you guys soon.
See you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.